Hello everyone, Bryony here and welcome to Gear Tips Wednesday. As most of you probably know, Lisa is away for the next few weeks in Nepal and Japan, lucky girl, and so I'll be filling in for her. Now when it comes to hiking, my passion is really in the overnight and multi-day hikes. So for Gear Tips Wednesdays, I'll talk about some of the gear that you might need when you're doing overnight hiking. I recently did the Hyson Trail as a solo through hike. It took me 66 days and most of those nights on the trail I spent in my tent. So I was carrying everything that I needed with me on my back pretty much for the whole time. So because of that, the weight of the gear became really important. The lighter your gear, the less gear you carry, the easier it is on your body. Now the people of the internet have categorized and labeled everything. You can be a lightweight or a super light or an ultralight hiker, and they've got different numbers of what all those things mean, but really, hike your own hike. It's a great saying and it's super relevant when it comes to gear. Obviously for me, I wanted to try and get my gear as light as possible, with a few little exceptions of course. Because I was doing a really long hike and I'm not particularly strong. However, at the same time, the lighter weight you go, the less durable gear becomes, and also the more expensive it becomes. So you really have to weigh up those odds. So if you're looking to lighten your load a little bit, with the exception of leaving behind the wine and the Ugg boots, the next place you probably want to start is with the big three. Now the big three is your rucksack, your sleep system, and your shelter system, because those three are basically the three heaviest items that you need to carry. And if you can take weight off of those items, it makes a really big difference. So let's look at some examples of how this all works out. This was my first rucksack. I often lend it to friends now when I'm trying to encourage them to come out hiking with me. It's a Deuter and it's a 55 plus 10 litre rucksack. It's got the adjustable back, super well padded. It's made of quite a heavy sort of corduroy material, so it's really tough. Great backpack, absolutely love it. And it weighs about 2.1 kilograms. Now, a couple of years ago, I upgraded to my Osprey. Now this one is a Osprey XLS 48. It's only 45 litres because it's the small size because I've got quite a short torso. The lid is removable, so I often don't use that part. And this backpack, it still has padding all the way around, but it's made of a lot thinner material, so the durability is not as good. But it only weighs 1 kilo. So even just with this, I have already saved 1.1 kilograms. Then this was my first tent. It's a Black Wolf Cicada. It was absolutely bomb proof. I went through many thunderstorms and hailstorms in this and I never had any problems. However, it weighs 3.2 kilograms, so it's pretty hefty. My next tent looked like this. It was a Mont Moondance 1, so a little one-person tent. The Cicada was a two-person tent, so by making it one person, you save a lot of weight just there. This one is also made of lighter weight material. If anyone's looking for a hiking tent, I highly recommend the Mont Moondance. It's Australian brand and it's a fantastic tent. I really couldn't fault it. But this one, I had it for probably 10 to 15 years. It certainly has worked really well and it weighs about 1.5. I think the current version weighs about 1.6 kilograms. So already there, that's a massive saving of weight. But then recently this tent was getting pretty old and I wasn't sure how it was going to hold up for a through hike. So this is the tent that I took on the Hyson Trail. It's a tarp tent, Moment DW. It's made in the States and imported directly from there. So not available in stores, which means you don't get to have a look at it first, which is a little bit, makes it a bit nervous buying it. However, this tent was fantastic. It weighs 1 kilogram, or sometimes, if I take off the ground sheet, which I have it wrapped up in, a little bit less than 1 kilogram. So between this one and my original tent, I've got a saving of 2.2 kilograms. Add that to my rucksack and we're up to 3.3 kilograms saved already. Finally, the last thing we'll have a quick look at is my sleeping bags. This was my first sleeping bag I got as a teenager. Once again, I still love it. It's super fluffy and puffy and blue, and I mean, it's great. However, it is huge. It's a down bag, so it does squash down very well. However, once it's compacted, it's still about this big, and it takes up a huge amount of space in my rucksack. It's also relatively heavy. It's got good quality materials, so the durability is fantastic. I mean, this thing is probably getting close to 20 years old, and it's still as good as new. It's amazing. And it weighs, I wrote down, about 1.6 kilograms. So my new sleeping bag, which I got for an absolute steal on Gumtree, and with a little bit of homemade sewing modifications and such like, is this one. It's actually just, it's nearly as warm, not quite as warm as my big one, but it only weighs between 0.8 and 0.9 kilograms. So once again, that's another massive saving of 700-800 grams. And the best thing about this one, even though it does fluff up quite nicely, is that it packs down to about this size, which means that I can fit it into my smaller rucksack. From my very first setup that I had when I was a teenager to what I've got now, I've got a saving of over 4 kilograms. So there you have it. There's a quick example of how Lightening the big three can really make a huge difference in your overall pack weight. So that's it for this week. If you've got any questions or comments, add them below. And I hope to see you again in the next few weeks, where we'll talk about sleep systems, shelters and stoves.